Hi
Hello,
guys,
ma'am.
Hi.
you to see you. Yeah, we're going to silence temporarily the microphones, but of course, you guys, whenever you want to say something, unmute yourself, and we'll be able to hear you. So, welcome everyone. How are you? How has your week been? I hope great. Happy to see well some usual faces, some new faces. So welcome everyone. Now in this Friday talk, we're going to have the following dynamics this time. I would like to explain, to put on the table what we do, and again to go over the products that we have. By products, we understand all the development, all the technology that we have created for you guys for the different purposes of your activity. Some of them have to do with teaching, education in general, which you usually are more aware of because you're using them every day. And then the growth models that up to a certain extent are a little bit more like abstract, but very necessary. You have to have perfect dominance over them as well, because we can aim at changing education only if your pockets are full with money, right? So we have to take care of your well-being so that we can achieve the ultimate goal that we're pursuing, which is changing education. Both are very important for you. Both are absolutely crucial that you guys understand. And today I would like to go over both of them once again. To my surprise, even more experienced partners don't know that they can do certain things with the platform. There are functions that we have been developing for you that you are not so aware of. In my presentation, I'm going to pay special attention to the mission and the vision that we have, and I'm going to go quickly over the rest of the things. But of course, if you have any questions, stop me, ask, or raise your hand, or you can even use the chat. I have asked my colleagues Pili and Maria to collect the questions, any possible question that you might have in the chat. I know that some of you cannot speak for the circumstances that you have, but if you can use the chat, that would be fine. I will try to answer all the questions. And if you wonder about something, but why do you do this and not that? Let's put it on the table, guys, okay? I want everything to be understood so that we all are all on the same page and you know where we are going. So for that purpose, I'm going to quickly start sharing my screen and going over the most important things. So I have to thank Raquel, our new colleague, for this wonderful presentation. And let's start with our vision. So this is a dream, but we're going to make a reality. We're actually changing education with this vision. And in our vision, all the students reach 100% of success. In our vision, there are no dropouts. So in our vision, every single student in every single subject is capable of reaching 100% of acquiring 100% of the content, no matter what. It's a matter of time. Now, our mission is to develop the technology that would enable that would help the teachers reach that goal. And how do we do it? We store relevant data. We'll see what is relevant data. I'll explain that in a minute, of students. And subsequently, we develop activities to help teachers teach and students learn. What are these relevant data? Now imagine a traditional, at school, we all have scores. We reach certain scores. Now imagine that we divide that into two. Things that we have achieved and things that we haven't achieved. This is relevant data. So with this information, we can do a lot of things. In the first place, what we can do is, of course, we can personalize the education and fill the gaps. This is very important because, as we've been explaining so far, no one pays attention to the gaps. So, but not only do we personalize education for the individuals, we can also extract and make conclusions for the whole group. Or even better, we can group students with similar needs easier and more effectively than the traditional way of, okay, one teacher, 25 kids, out of which we know for a fact that 3 are not going to make it through, are not going to finish school. They will abandon. How sad is that? How sad is that we have to accept that in a class of 25 kids, at least this is Spanish reality, 3 kids are never going to make it to finish school. So this is unacceptable to us. This is unacceptable. It's our mission to change that. Now here is what we're doing, and the products that we are developing have to deal clearly with the business models, with the teaching system, and with the students app. And in the business model, I would stress this, that you guys are not salespeople. You are teachers, and you have to act as such. With the tools that we provide, being teachers and experts, you have to be able to transmit, to communicate, and for that purpose, technology is helping you. How? Salesforce and CRM, tracking code for campaigns, you know that, you're more aware of that. Content of value for social media, and controlling of your business, of your figures. The teaching system, this app that is synchronized with the students app, that provides ready-to-use personalized lesson plans. And why is that? Why we want that? Because that represents for you 90% less workload. As simple as this. For the students, it represents faster progress by identifying gaps and filling them with what? With the acceleration game, with the content that you are all teaching. So these are the products that you all know. You are experts, and as such, you can grow. Everything here is personalized. If you are not aware of anything, put it in the chat. Really, any doubt, you just have to word it or voice it. We're going to reply. Then in the middle, or the second block, represents the tools that we have created for the educational system. And again, the ultimate purpose here is, in order to achieve our mission to finish with people falling behind, we need technology to identify what they know, what they don't know, to provide practices. And for you, every single activity will mean that you're filling a gap for the students. Along with that, and with the help of the management team, business management team, we have a quality control. So this is something that is not so obvious for everyone, but it's absolutely important. Being able to detect problems and solve them in real time for students and teachers. Now, what are the business models? In the first place, taking care of acquiring students where they are. So we have to create models for that would work for you for video conference teaching in their premises at work, at home, in a bar or public place. Whatever the student need is, we have the service. Just remember that. You guys, every single one of you, by being at Oxinity, has the same capacity to provide a service than the big providers. This is so beautiful. Whether or not you are going to choose one model or not, that depends on you and on where you are. Yeah, location matters. But you have the capacity to compete with the big ones. And your students, also have the capacity. We provide something very flexible. You have the tools to either direct them, if it's offline, to a public space. You can group people around their needs offline in coffee shops, public places, and this is offline, sorry, and online, again, very broad grouping and big grouping system that allows people to choose classes at their best availability. Now, for that purpose, there are two things that you have probably managed. The promo button, which is so important, and it personalizes every single link in Oxinity, in your platform. And again, on the other side, everything in Oxinity that we're creating, every single page, every single tab, is a landing page. So you can use it for your growth. With your IDC and tracking code, you make it yours. Everything, once in Oxinity, everything in Oxinity belongs to you. Remember that. So what are the business models? We have to remember who we are. We're teachers, or you guys are teachers, and you know what your students need. How will you provide it? By content of value. So content is in your classes, in the app, but also there is so much extra content in the blog that you can provide. And why using it? Because you are communicating, you're helping, and that can become a tradition. A tradition, I mean, every week I'm going to get in touch with my students, current and former. We don't have to end the relationship with a student when they stop their classes. It can continue. So this is something that if you haven't thought about, I would really suggest that you think about. Now, the partners that grow the best are doing that, are communicating every week something of value, every single week. So you can communicate with all these channels. You can do it on Facebook. Facebook, when we talk about Facebook, remember the groups. There are groups around interests that if you're not using, you have to use, yeah? Because it's where your targets gather to find solutions. If your solution is there, fantastic. If your solution is not there, and it is all only in your wall, maybe it's not going to be enough. So the same is applicable to LinkedIn. And of course, more personalized solutions will be WhatsApp or your email. Those who are active on Twitter, of course, Twitter as well, Instagram, of course. Now, this is something, the Salesforce tab is something that I think is underused. And I really have to encourage you to start using it, because this is gold. Now, this has two interfaces showing you this picture here is showing everything in progress that has happened so far until the current day, whereas this screen shows the state of the day of today. Both of them are very important, because whether you have clients or not depends on not only on the leads that you will get, of course, but also on the actions, on how much you act upon your leads. So do not underestimate these processes. I can never stress enough the importance of follow-up. Now, coming soon, and you will see it also in your Oxinity platform. Right now, available just for people that are not teachers. So for academies and commercial agents more, but very, very soon in your Oxinity as well is going to be this breakdown of your clients. So how much you generate with them, what's the cost, and what's the remainder, what's the margin for you. And you have to know that once you start, you can scale quickly. And well, not at first, there is more work, but then afterwards, the results are so obvious, so evident. Now, the educational system, you know better. Again, here, let me stress yet again that what we're doing here is not just yet another tool to make things beautiful. My point is, traditional classroom, modern classroom, we have blackboard and then we have all those digital boards. The digital board may be more beautiful, not necessarily more effective though, because okay, it does something, it may do more things, or a projector project things in color, that's more beautiful, not necessarily more effective. The problem that underlays is not going to be sorted out with beautiful things. Yeah, things have to be as beautiful as they can, but also with technological solutions that are going to go straight to the problem and solve it. So, well, our development, the architecture is complex, back-end, front-end, with all the problems that sometimes occur. Well, we're working on it constantly, very with very fast paces, and I hope you will see improvements very soon, even in the interface and in the usability. So what you know here is, again, an app for the student, an app for the teacher. Whenever you are asked by your students, what else can I do? You have to remember they can do a lot in the platform. So all the material is there, all the texts are there, all the videos are there, but also the game is there. And people love it. It's kind of addictive, but it's addictive and educational. And this is our non-human mate, which is called vendor technology. But of course, it provides service for you guys, for your students, so that everything with the connection is fine. And there is a team behind that. You are communicating with them whenever you have an issue. There are people attending your needs. So this is something that no Zoom, no Skype can have. Now, the value proposition for you regarding your teaching platform, and specifically the one that we designed with the product with activities, is to reduce your workload and, of course, increase your growth. To reduce workload is very important, because there is something that we haven't been talking about, which is all this extra time that your colleagues have to do when they don't have all these tools at hand. They have to plan every single thing. Sometimes it's a lot of workload, a lot of burden, and not necessarily it impacts in better quality. On the contrary, without tools, quality is quite dubious. So you know how you can keep track of your classes here. I'm not so sure whether you know that you can also create a group for your students, create groups, insert students there, and then operate, change classes, cancel, recuperate. There are a lot of things that you can do. And if you're not so aware, then why don't you just give it a go and try? So trial and error, and you will see that it's quite straightforward. Your student satisfaction is also here, and you can check. This is very good method of self-correcting, so I really encourage you to use that. And how to transmit experience and the activities that you're using are actually something that maybe you see them as, oh, right, this activity is good, this activity is bad. But if you think about it, here there is a lot of people telling you, hey, this is my experience, why don't we try? Maybe you can benefit from it. And the beauty of it is that it has this wiki approach where every single one of you can improve it and make it a little bit better. So you can rank the activities that are have lower ranks go to improvement, and you know that system of how all of us are improving activities pretty much in real time all the time. So you know that, you know how to use the system. I'm not going to spend so much time here, but just to tell you, as suitable for online classes as for offline classes. And here is where you can keep track of your generated and indicate possible issues if you come across. Coming soon, generate the invoices, and we will group the concepts so that it's easier for you guys to understand. And finally, the student app, which again is probably something that is not so obvious for you, but it contains every single thing synchronized. Look at that. So we synchronize the game with what? With the classes, with all the content that the people receive, and eventually this results into progress. So it's a continuous feedback that goes from the app to the classes and from the classes to the app. Here is how your students see the target language. They have access to the attachments as well, to the videos. That's why it's very important that our visual, like the videos are very well, are attached as videos, not as text attachments and so on. The progress in real time, right after every class, after they've played the game, they can check it. And the grid, this shared grid that allows people to select classes, not 24/7, but we're close to it, yeah? Operating with teachers in Mexico, we're teaching until 2 a.m. in the morning. And this is it, guys. I would stop it here, but if you have questions and comments, I will be happy to hear them and answer them. So questions, comments, anyone? Astra, how about you? Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any questions at the moment. But I think it's very I guess my comment is that it's very um progressive, you know.
It's very
With
progressive. Was there anything that you didn't know or you were aware?
the games, I wasn't aware.
Uh-huh.
The games, and so yeah, that's something I've just picked up on from listening to the
Okay.
presentation.
By the
So I
way,
wasn't aware of it.
yeah, you guys can do something. You can also have the experience of your learners, and it just takes you have to register as a student using one of the landing pages, but with a different email. Just do not mix the so that we don't mix the IDC numbers. With a different email, you have the experience of the students. Now, let me encourage you to be very curious. You have to be very curious. You don't have to be afraid of not touching something, not testing something. If you test, you will learn, because there are so many things that operate for you, and you have to know them. So Asra, just register as a student and you will see what the students are, what the students receive. Blanca, you have a question, comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think we could all, myself included, I think we could all do a better job of in the classes explaining these things to the students, because I think I run into, like, so many times the students don't even know that the game exists, or they don't even know that they can view the material before and after class. So I think if we can just, I don't know, take 30 seconds in each class to remind them, because I really do find that most students don't know how complete the system is.
Absolutely, you're so right. And again, the attitude and the stance that you take, if it's not one of a passively waiting for someone to do it, but assuming that you are the people that have direct contact with the students, and it takes exactly that 30 seconds to remind them for further practice, go to the app, play, and you will accelerate your learning. There is very little explanation needed, just to point out that they can do it, and they will. Okay, Devon, hi, how are you? Good to see you again.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Fine, fine. What do you
That's good,
think?
that's good.
Were you aware of all these things?
No, I'm still learning. Still, obviously trying to figure it all out. But it is very interesting. Is there any way we can get this presentation itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I will share it with you guys. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. At the end of the chat of the meeting, you will find it in the chat. No problem. Of course.
Okay, brilliant.
Course. Now we have to learn to communicate all these concepts in a very short way. Yeah. So that's why I would like to insist on on the key concepts that are different. When talking with many teachers and academies as well, I sometimes have the feeling that they still think, yes, but the classic call to actions. Yes, so we have the best teachers, or their own native, or this and that. All right, but again, let me go back to my first question. What has changed in education in 50 years? Very little or nothing. Okay, so we don't have just to think that a change in education will come with just some new tools here and there. No, we need to change the system itself. This is what we're doing. The system, for instance, a direct consequence of changing the system is that such concept as the grade that you've had is going to become obsolete. My point is, we will measure not so much, yes, we're going to measure how much progress you've made, but we're going to do it not to put a label or a tag forever, but to help you reach 100%, to make you realize, all right, I'm not there yet, I still need to learn this 20% or 30%, which I'm going to do in a little bit more time. With more time, I'm going to get there. Very soon, I guess we're going to start measuring more timing rather than result as such. Well, the result will be there. And we have started with English because sadly, Spain had very poor results in English. But this is applicable to every single subject in general and knowledge in general. So I say, sadly, we've been reading that Spain has one of the worst results compared to the rest of the European countries regarding English language acquisition. And again, we are doing exactly the same thing. So we are used to the fact, and Blanca was telling us a couple of weeks ago that she was told teach to the medium, right? To the middle or to the medium. How sad is that? Yeah. If we teach just and we assume that we're going to have even students with good grades are going to have gaps that will never be filled, let alone students that may struggle more. We don't have to accept that. We can change that. Okay, Georgina, over to you.
Yeah, I was just wanting to say something that I think I said this before, but I've been telling my leads lately, and it's about changing education. And I'm telling them, why are you going to wait 3 months for your child to take a test and realize what he doesn't know? Well, this is constant evaluation. And I say, I evaluate, I assess him after every single class, and that way I can foresee what he needs. But that change there, I'm not going to wait for 3 months to tell your child, hey, you didn't get what we did a month ago. That would be one of the changes. And then from what you just said now, I realized that, when you leave school, whatever, nobody's going to care about your grades. People are going to care about your skills. So maybe that shift is also there. Let's start learning and not getting marks.
It's true.
Always thinking about, for me, always thinking about what Oxinity has to offer. Why is it different? How can we explain that? I remember back in the time I said, this is so difficult for me to explain, but now I start having many inputs to get the message across. And these would be some of them.
Explaining something, even the most simple concept in 20 seconds is the most difficult thing. And I can tell you that it's been a continuous exercise for the whole team for the past months. And for instance, I'll give you an example that this presentation, which Raquel, our colleague Raquel did, when she was doing it, we asked her to represent this. Take a student that in the Spanish educational system, which goes 1 to 10, a student of 8 is a good student. So we ask her, can you represent that in a diagram? And she said, yes. So, okay, even a student of 8 every time, in the best case scenario, 20% of the content is not acquired. So when she was doing the graphics, she realized that it's actually in their school life, they fall behind with 2 complete courses. So how sad is that? And that explains in a way why here, at least in Spain, people as average, it takes them 10 to 12 years to learn English, and yet they don't understand a movie or a series in the original version. So data speak volumes, and we have to be aware of it in order to fix it. Mari Carmen, over to you.
I wanted to add a detail that I think it's very important, that sometimes we assume, yet we don't put it through. And it's one of the big differences between us and the traditional system. And that is that thanks to our data, students can move from one day to another to a higher level. And I often find that people are not aware of that. And that's part, if not probably the key issue here when it comes down to learning. So that's why we can accelerate it. They don't have to go through X level for X amount of months or years. It's up to them following the system. And I think that's an incredible added value for us to put through. We might know it, but on the same line as Blanca was saying that there is some information that is not given or known, this would be another point, I think.
Absolutely. That's true. Very true. So this is the idea. No one should be left behind. We take care of everyone. We help teachers to do what they cannot do. Now, I think that every single teacher in the world tries their best to provide the best explanation. But once this is achieved, then how many people actually get it and retain it? So if that same teacher could sit behind every single student and check what they've understood and what they haven't understood, every single kid would thrive. But that teacher cannot do that. And this teacher worldwide, being it in Spain and in the North Pole, do they have schools? Yeah, of course. They need this. They need this help because they want to help their students. They don't enjoy people falling behind. I guess they have to accept it because they have no other choice. But with this, probably we will give them a choice. So, Tommy, over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to apologize for being late, and I wanted to ask, Mari Carmen said that the data helps us move from one level to another level. So what is because I don't have the access to all of the data, what is the biggest jump and the least time that has been achieved with us? I'm very curious about
That's a
this
great
topic.
question. That's a great question. It depends very much on how often the students interact with the platform and take classes. But I can tell you that our system is created so that in 3 years, one student with zero knowledge is capable of communicating at C1 level. 3 years. It takes 3 years. And why is that? Because eventually, we've been talking about it in previous meetings, but it's a good moment to remind you this. Guys, any language has a certain amount of structures. English, for instance, has around 150 structures. This is something very achievable for anyone if we pair it with the most relevant vocabulary for each level. Here for the vocabulary, then we use the Pareto principle. 80% of the communications, we use 20% of the vocabulary. If we start with the most commonly used vocabulary and we broaden as students advance in their knowledge, we're going to give them the capacity of communicating in potentially any in any communicative situation. With the structures and with this vocabulary, we can achieve that. So we have taken all the parameters and we can measure. That's why we can predict when a student will be able to finish, to acquire the content. Of course, you will argue, and I know that you never stop learning a language, of course, but it comes a point where when it will be a matter of vocabulary only, and they will have the competences necessary to convey a conversation in any situation. So they will be able to understand everything. They may struggle to express certain vocabulary, but this is fixable with the already acquired vocabulary, and they are going to be fine in any communicative situation. 3 years. Now, if a student starts with more level, then the platform will tell you the more they interact with the platform, the more accurate our prediction will be. So at your pace, you are going to finish in that year or that month. We can do that, right? For instance, kids of 7 and 8 years speak of course, we have to take into consideration maturity, but they speak with an equivalent of P4. We have P4 for kids. I mean, yeah, with these results. So imagine they speak fluently, they understand everything. Of course, they don't have such an abstract thinking yet, but with our new product, logical reasoning, we're going to develop that as well in them. Here I can see Samantha, one of the people that participate in the team, in the team that created the activities. Brilliant. These activities are brilliant. Maybe one of you or some of you have taught these kids. Maybe you guys can tell us, your experience. Let me ask Mari Carmen first, and then if anyone has taught these kids, just raise your hand. Mari Carmen?
Yeah, just to answer a bit further what Tommy asked, just to remind everybody that we have the tools and the flexibility to make them advance. And I mean by that there are people that can take, for example, a 3-month intensive course and then go to 2 classes on the open web classes a week. So that scenario is going to be totally different than somebody that's just taking 1 half-an-hour class a week. So our flexibility allows the student to create his own speed, and the change in levels and the improvement is immediate after that. They don't need to cover anything else. So I think that's another important point.
Absolutely, yeah. For instance, if a kid, okay, so there are, you know that there are different products and like by product or offers within what within Oxinity. So a student that takes one class a week in 3 years will have acquired, starting at zero, will have acquired the objectives, will have reached the objectives with one class a week plus the platform. But of course, we can teach faster in 9 months, for instance, with 3 classes a week or with 4 or 5 classes a week. So we can speed the process. I mean, this is something that here I'm going to, you know, it's kind of contradictory because you may argue, yeah, but then you're using clients. Well, the faster students learn, the more value for them, the more value we give them. Yeah, we measure everything. And of course, there will always be people that even at a high level will prefer to stay and make, you know, keep in touch for maintenance. But eventually everything is based on, we measure your pace, we measure your progress, and we can tell you how when you're going to reach the objectives and if you can afford faster pace. Fantastic. Yeah, it's always about the same. It's about teaching what they don't know. And as teachers, whenever you have the feeling that your students are answering way too fast, too quickly, no problem whatsoever, you have to think, oh, they maybe the level is way easier, you know. So some of you have reported that your students need to be moved up a level. Of course, we can detect it with the app as well. But if you have that feeling that it's way too easy for you students, do not hesitate and let us know. Any more questions, guys? Okay, Tommy, go ahead.
So what if there's a situation where a student is pretty low compared to the other levels? Like I have or we have a student called Arnel, and he is in the level group that's too high for him, but he wants to work a lot. He is really good when it comes to the work ethic, but the other students are very angry. Like you can see it when he is in class because he doesn't understand the same instructions. So what do you recommend to be done in that situation?
Okay, so is it in the open web classes? Do they belong?
Yes.
Yes, if it's in the open web classes, then all you have to do is use the chat bubble to indicate that Arnau should be in a lower level. We're going to talk to him, suggest that he moves just to acquire a better to be in a more homogeneous level, more similar to his. And then if he's that enthusiastic, he will catch up quickly. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you guys can indicate when taking the attendance that a student has a different level. When you take the attendance, right next to the name of the student, you can indicate a different level. And it's actually very important because it's a simple click for you and you can do it straight away. If you don't even have to use the bubble. Yeah, you know. So when you take attendance, there is the possibility of indicating a different level, and we need it. We need that to make this adjustment with the student. Elham, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Radmila, I have one question. For example, sometimes the material that I provided for some class, it's not even close to their level. For example,
Okay.
my children even cannot, for example, I don't know, tell the name of the colors, and the material is about school, I don't know, school equipment. and I need to amend, and I don't know, ask them about the colors of the, I don't know, of the, I don't know, a school bag, or I need to change the material so they can even, you know, they can participate in the class.
Yes,
Because if I
certainly.
want to teach what is in the material, they are not going to even understand it.
So what you need to do now, even in the kids, within the kids, we came to realize, and it was to thanks to one of you guys. So I remember Sam mentioning, how about having different levels within the groups? Because our first approach to grouping kids was based on age. But then we realized, you made us realize that even within the same age, we can group people, we can group kids in different levels. We really need that. So let us know this. Let us know that the student, either by using, when you take attendance, the symbols of the levels, but even kids within the kids level can have the equivalent of P2 or P3 or P4. So let's do it. Do not take for granted that you have to struggle, and that's that, you know. So every time a teacher has approached us and has shared that these kids need a different leveling, then we've done it. My point is, don't wait for it to become something, a burden for you. You can let us know and we will fix it.
Okay, because it happened to me like something, I cannot explain how many times, but it happens a lot. For example, there are students which they are not in the same level, and some of them even cannot read the letters, cannot pronounce it. They have a lot of problem, and the material that are provided, the materials that are provided, they are not related to their level, even to their, I don't know, age. So you mean that I need to let, for example, Mary Carmen know about it?
Mari Carmen, or I'm going to try to show you now. While I'm looking for the right class to show you, I would like to just point out something, because you mentioned something about reading. I hope you guys are not trying to teach your students English by reading. I hope you're not doing that. Tell me you're not
No, for
doing.
example, I told them, look at letter, I don't know, A, and and they couldn't find letter A, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay.
Because, for example, pictures are, okay, go on.
Because forget about letters. Elham, take my word. Forget about letter A and letter B. Teach them English, because can you see my screen? And I'll continue just to point
Yeah.
out. Okay, so we have a class of three people that one of them may have or may not have the right level. So here you can point out, you can activate and point out a different level, higher or lower. You can do that. Plus the bubble, I don't have it here, but you do, right? So you can do that for kids and for everyone. But for kids, let me insist on that. I hope you don't be so obsessed with reading. One of the biggest mistakes, and hence bad results, is teachers trying to teach English through reading. We have to teach in the natural way, as every single one of you learn their language. I'm not saying don't teach reading. I'm saying don't teach through reading. Kids will learn, and who has taught one of those kids? I bet you've come across one of those 7, 8, 9-year-olds that speak amazingly, surprisingly great. Yeah, who here? Please raise your hand. Sam, yeah, go ahead. Tell us about that. What's your feeling?
Students that talk that pronounce and speak really well. I found some of my students battle with their reading. That's not on Oxinity though, on another platform. The kids that do speak very well do battle with their reading, which is something we don't enforce, is the reading. So Yeah.
So basically, a test. Georgina, I think, mentioned like a quick test. You know, we've been thinking to do this test, and we're actually going to maybe write a blog post for a campaign. The test is very simple, showing someone like a kid the word a teenager, yeah, because at that age they have probably been subject to reading and they've been taught how to read and that. So we would ask them to read two words, table and comfortable. So with just this test, you know whether or not the choice of language school, the choice of teacher, the choice of academy is right. Just with this, you don't need more. So if they go like comfortable and vegetable and chocolate, then you know that you know you have to do something. So we're going to do that. Very simple test. Kaylee, go ahead.
Okay. So, what I normally try to do with my students is because obviously if like table and vegetable is a problem, they need to see the words while they are being spoken. So I usually encourage my students when I'm reading the text for them, I'm encouraging them to follow with me and to read it themselves in their minds while I'm reading, so that they can hear the words and see them at the same time. And then afterwards to engage with the text and answer questions and give their opinions.
Okay.
So,
I've heard you. Your microphone is a little bit high. If you can. Yes. Okay.
sorry.
That's better. That's better. I've heard you though. But I
Okay.
would say I would say this. I would say that okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
We were having this reflections before we started.
Mm.
Have you known anyone that has learned a language only by seeing without hearing? Because it's
Mm-mm.
impossible. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is. And I was sharing the example with
Mm.
my dad, who can't hear with one of, he's impaired, and he struggles, and he has very good pronunciation, but struggles a lot. So
Mm. Mm.
without hearing, no matter how much you will show the word or see the word or
Mm.
whatever, we do nothing. So with this idea in mind, try not showing them the words. Really, guys, if you want to help your,
Oh,
if you
okay.
want to help in their
Mm.
pronunciation,
Mm.
it's exactly that. To you,
Mm.
because your native speaker is different, but from the Spanish point
Mm.
of view, I'll tell you, they've seen it so many times, so
Okay.
much, that they can only read what they see. So
Mm.
they have to stop seeing
Okay.
it. They have to imagine something completely different.
Mm.
They
Mm.
cannot see the word written in their minds anymore. We have to substitute this vision by another one. The word is
Mm.
not comfortable. They have to stop seeing comfortable in order
Mm.
for
Mm.
them to see
Yes.
comfortable. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
really.
Mm. Mm.
Don't show them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know
Sometimes
that.
I actually misspell the word, so I retype the entire word, completely wrong spelling, but I type it in the way that you have to say it. Because,
Okay.
but you're right, as soon as they see vegetable, they actually see the able suffix. As soon
Yeah,
as they see that, it's able,
yeah,
the whole time.
that's it.
So, they have to see something else in their minds,
Absolutely.
and then get used to hearing it, like you say.
Mhm.
So,
That's it. Devon, how about you?
Sorry, I actually have to run. I've got a Spanish conversational class that I have to get to in the next 10 minutes. So
If
yeah,
if it's
unfortunately, I'm gonna have to kick off.
if it's not based on real conversation, consider changing it. I'll do the
No,
test
it is.
with you in Spanish.
Fair
Go
enough.
good.
But thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, thank you too. Thank you for joining.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah. Basically, Kaylee, to go again and to finish with it. How many people can actually follow a series or a TV show in the original version without subtitles here in Spain. 80% of the people cannot do that. So there is something completely wrong about it. We have to change that. Okay. Okay, so any more questions? Jordan, go for it. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hi.
Can you see me? Yeah, more or less. Yeah, so I'd just like to add on the teaching the children a little bit. So, Kaylee, you said that you write it in phonetically. Okay, and this helps them a lot.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot as well, I must say. Very useful, especially when they struggle to understand what you're saying and what they're reading, you know, or what you're saying. But generally, if you've got two different levels, I always get the higher level student. For example, the other day we were doing there is and there are. And one of the students joined a little bit late, halfway through the activity. So I asked the other student to explain it to the student that was late, to see if he understood the concept. And also, if a student explains it to another student, there's a mutual understanding of, you know, of what they say, even if they both speak their pidgin English. Yeah, it's
you know, that's very important because that's the magic of collaboration. You know, when people learn cooperating, they learn better. Facts, and the fact is, when we had one-to-one teaching, we were indexing one certain progress, which increased amazingly when we started grouping people in groups of 3. So when people started taking classes on the contrary of what is believed, that one-to-one is more personalized, we started observing the opposite. So when people started collaborating, cooperating, they had better results, faster. And this is one of the reasons they start helping each other. It's so beautiful. And this is what we're going to do with maths as well, with this logical reasoning in maths. Kids will collaborate and will help each other because turns out that sometimes there is not just one answer. Yes, sometimes there is, but sometimes there are different ways to get into the answer, different ways. So you can use one way or another, but all of them contribute for the kids to learn something they didn't know. Yeah, so this is very beautiful. When you see how people collaborate, of course, the level doesn't have to be so, you know, so the contrast in level doesn't have to be big, but if it's more or less the same, then it works brilliantly. Okay, guys, so are there any more questions or comments? No? So, okay. Kaylee, final words?
Okay, so I had a student today, and I've taught her before, and there were some comments about her needing to be moved down to P2, which she has now moved to P2.
Okay.
And she's very good with pronunciation, and she grasps the grammar structure. So once it's explained, then she can use it and repeat it back to you. But she struggles with just speaking clearly. I mean, speaking freely. So she was even able to answer the questions on a very simple text. But in terms of just creating a sentence or sharing her opinion, she tries, and then she knows what she said is wrong, and then she clams up. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a confidence issue, which I have picked up from previous teachers' comments, or if unless she needs to be moved to S1. But
No,
now I don't know if S1 is lower, but
no,
she
no.
really struggles, and literally, if you just ask her to share an opinion or create a sentence, it's like 3 words, and that's it. And then she gets very frustrated. So I don't know what to do about that.
just give her some time. It's a problem of adulthood. You know, the older we grow, the more we analyze things. So she's overanalyzing, probably a little bit of confidence. I don't think it's so much a confidence problem, but this analyzing constantly. Am I doing right? Am I doing wrong? You know, this is it. I would give her some time. This is it. No, if she's pronouncing well. And if she's trying, she'll get there. It's a matter of fact. Yeah, she has to increase exposure. Tell her that with the app, with Netflix or whatever she likes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Jordan?
Thank you.
Jordan? Oh, that was from before?
No. I was just going to add to Kaylee's. So try and find a topic she's very interested in, the student. Because I've struggled with similar situations, and then we'll start talking about one of their recent holidays, and then they'll just talk about how much they liked it and what they did and the travel there.
Yes.
So I think they're trying to look for their interest to get them speaking. And remind them it's okay to make mistakes, so they increase fluency. And when they make the mistake, you're there to help them correct it.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate, and it's important. You know, I always challenge you. I have to. But if it's okay for people to feel confident and to relax, but they have to struggle a little bit to learn. Because if they're too comfortable in their comfort zone, knowledge is not there. It's outside it. So it's okay that she feels that she has to get there. She's not there yet, but she's, 1 minute for her to relax, 1 minute. And when she's comfortable, then you move forward to the things that she needs to learn. Yeah, because eventually they pay. We don't have to forget that, guys, that people pay to learn. Yes, they have to feel fine with us. We have to create a nice atmosphere, but learning has to happen all the time. So, yeah. All right. Okay, guys, let's leave it here. Great. Thank you very much for all the participation and comments and questions, and we'll continue next week. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Very successful next week in your classes. And don't forget the business parts, very important.